Courage isn't about knowing the answer. It's about daring to speak when your heart tells you to. The bell rang at Jefferson Elementary School in Chicago, and the students of 5th grade rushed into Mrs. Carter's classroom. The room buzzed with chatter, pencils clinking, and backpacks dropping to the floor. But in the back row, a quiet girl named Mia Lopez sat silently, hugging her notebook tightly. Mia wasn't shy because she didn't know things. She was shy because she was afraid to be wrong. Every time Mrs. Carter asked a question, Mia knew the answer. She'd whisper it softly to herself, but never loud enough for anyone to hear. She had tried once before, last year, and got the answer wrong. Her classmates had laughed, and one of them had said, "Wow, you're smart, huh?" with a smirk that still burned in her memory. Since then, Mia promised herself she'd never raise her hand again. One morning, Mrs. Carter wrote a big question on the board. "What is courage?" She smiled and looked around. "Who wants to try?" The class went quiet. A few students looked away, pretending to be busy. Mia stared at the board, her pencil tapping nervously. She wanted to answer. She knew what courage meant. She had read about it in a book just last night. But her hand stayed glued to her desk. Mrs. Carter smiled kindly and said, "Sometimes, courage starts with just raising your hand." Mia froze. It was as if the teacher had looked right into her heart. Slowly, very slowly, she lifted her hand. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it. The whole class turned to look. "Yes, Mia," said Mrs. Carter warmly. Mia took a breath and said softly, "Courage means doing something even when you're scared." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Mrs. Carter smiled and said, "That's exactly right." The class clapped, not mockingly this time, but genuinely. Mia felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. From that day on, she started raising her hand more often. Sometimes she was right. Sometimes she wasn't, but she learned something powerful. Every mistake was a step toward becoming stronger. A few weeks later, the school announced a speech contest. Mrs. Carter encouraged Mia to join. "You have a beautiful voice when you let it be heard," she said. At first, Mia refused. "I can't stand on stage. Everyone will stare at me." But that night, she looked in the mirror and whispered, "Courage means doing it even when you're scared." The next morning, she signed up. When the day of the contest arrived, Mia's legs trembled as she stood behind the podium. The auditorium was filled with teachers, students, and parents. Her palms were sweaty, her voice shaky. But then she saw Mrs. Carter smiling in the front row, and her fear melted into determination. She took a deep breath and began, "Good morning. My name is Mia Lopez, and I want to tell you what courage really means." Her speech was simple but powerful. She spoke about her fears, her mistakes, and how courage helped her believe in herself again. By the time she finished, the hall erupted in applause. She didn't win first place. She came second. But to her, that felt like victory. After the event, Mrs. Carter hugged her and said, "You just taught everyone in this school what real courage looks like." From that day, Mia was never the quiet girl in the back again. She helped others speak up to comforting nervous classmates, encouraging them to try. Years later, Mia grew up to become a teacher herself. On her classroom wall, she hung a sign that read, "Raise your hand, even when you're afraid." That's how change begins. And every time one of her students hesitated to speak, she'd smile and say softly, "Sometimes courage starts with just raising your hand." Courage isn't about being fearless, it's about taking action despite fear. Whether it's speaking in class, standing on stage, or chasing your dreams. Remember, one small brave step can change your whole life. If this story inspired you to speak up, stand tall, and believe in yourself, make sure to subscribe to Motivoons, where every story sparks courage, kindness, and strength within you.